Hi everybody. Firstly, I just want to say a massive thank you to those of you who continue sharing the content of this channel. As most of you will have seen, the number of subscribers to this channel has virtually doubled in the past 2.5 to 3 weeks, increasing the reach of the content and gradually making more and more people see the true reality of just what they did to fix Abu Dhabi 2021. And this will gain momentum, and eventually it is going to cause that change. Okay, we are, as a collective, going to expose what really happened at Abu Dhabi 2021, and we're going to make them overturn it. All right, and that can only be done if a massive group of people all contribute. So those of you that are, I massively thank you. And for those of you that are just starting to see the content now, and you're starting to see the reality of things and presented in that, you may well have known, okay, but at least you're now seeing it out there, and there is a lot more to come. Trust me, there's a lot more to come. This video is just going to be the conclusion of Hungary. I took a load of audio clips from the Hungarian Grand Prix because they stung. Watching that Hungarian Grand Prix, things just stood out, which are things that when we're watching this sport, those of us that have been watching it for a period of time, we know the truth of the situation, and what we receive a lot of the time is lies, bullshit, and it's a fake show that we're watching at the moment. And there's no point in investing our time and energy and emotion into something that we know's not true. It's fake. So I want to go through them clips. I've got the Belgian Grand Prix later today, so whether I am able to watch that and record any more bullshit, we will see. But I'm going to go through the remaining clips that I took from Hungary. Firstly, though, just something from the last video that it really stings, but this is reflective of what we have witnessed in this sport for quite some time now. So I'm going to just play these two clips and just let them hit. So here's the first one. You'll recognise the voice.
As well, he's very wide, it's dirty out there, and Lewis once again pushing the limits of the driving standard there by running very wide through turn 2.
Lewis Hamilton pushing the limits of the driving standards. So compare that with this one. Lewis Hamilton pushing the limits of the driving standards.
And then you can see Verstappen closing, under braking, he's going to force his way and hits Lewis Hamilton, who braked, watched Verstappen come steaming down the inside and watched Verstappen take himself out of that battle.
And
now he's been passed by Charles Leclerc as well.
Wow, now we're going to hear a grumpy Max Verstappen, but I think he had to just keep the steering wheel straight to keep slowing the car down. He came in with such speed there.
Oh yeah, I think Max had to keep the steering wheel straight there to slow the car down. He came in with so much speed there. Martin Brundle, you are a Charlie Uniform November Tango, and you will be exposed for this, and you will be going down for this. I'm going to make it my business to let the whole world know exactly what you are. To vilify one guy and boost another in the manner that you do is truly disgusting. Truly disgusting, and you're going to be fully exposed for everything you've done. I'm going to go back through the years, and when we get the platform to do so, this that you've been doing for years is going to be fully exposed. Anyway, what we're going to do now is go through the remaining clips, and it'd be the similar sort of things where as you hear it, it just pangs and you're like, that's not right, that's not right. So here we go. So here's the first one. Here we go.
Penalty coming Max Verstappen's way for causing a collision there.
I didn't move the steering, mate. Copy, mate. So that was Verstappen. He arrived out of control to that one.
I think there's a penalty coming Max Verstappen's way for causing a collision there.
Well, the stewards didn't think that, Crofty. You know, normally Brundle and Crofty are the people that validate Verstappen. And for them to be saying, I think there's a penalty coming his way, well, that's because they can't get away without saying that. But then the stewards still didn't give him one.
It's been noted, Martin, but I don't see how that isn't causing a collision.
Yeah, moved under braking.
And we get the criminal, okay, the perpetrator, accusing the victim, okay? The perpetrator accusing the victim of doing the wrong thing.
I'm not even going to get into a radio fight with the other teams, Max.
Okay, so this has been put out on other media sources as Giampiero Lambesi, or whatever his name is. I'm crap at pronouncing that one. Having a go at Max. It's not. What he's actually doing is saying, I'm not even getting into a radio fight with the other teams. It's childish. So it's almost as though Red Bull are projecting that they are taking the moral high ground in this situation. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's just listen to that shit again.
Yeah, moved under braking. I'm not even going to get into a radio fight with the other teams, Max. We'll let the stewards do their thing. It's childish on the
It's childish on the radio. We'll take the moral high ground. I'm not even going to get into a radio fight with them. Look how they project themselves. You are special types of people. Special types of toxic people. Anyway, it carries on.
radio. Childish.
I think there are some words coming behind closed doors at McLaren and at Red Bull for two of their drivers.
So we get Crofty saying, I think there's words coming both at McLaren and at Red Bull. Well, okay. What you're doing now is we're talking about a Max Verstappen collision where once again he's thrown his car in there. Once again he's driving dangerously. Once again he's not complying with driving standards. You're claiming innocence, or Red Bull are. Red Bull are claiming everybody else is childish. And then you go, oh yeah, McLaren need to have a word with their drivers, and Red Bull might be having a word with their driver as well. Well, okay, it's a separate issue. Completely separate issue. But you're looping both together so that you're not separating out the two and exposing the true nature of each. Anyway, next one. Okay, the next one was just actually a continuation of that. I had to rewind it a bit and carry on recording because Brundle came out with some more crap.
For two of their drivers.
Pot and kettle springs to mind. So, yeah, he lost control of his car. So that.
Yeah, what happens if you're out of control of your car while you're dangerous? So that needs penalising, doesn't it?
That's as clear as now whether the stewards put that down to a racing incident or a
It's a racing incident to throw your car in out of control. That's racing incident, is it? Oh yes, because he's a real racer. A real racer. Yeah, you just throw your car in. See, this is something we hear in this sport a lot. Oh, he's a proper racer, he is. He's a proper racer. That's what he's going to do. No. Right, what you're doing, you're conditioning people to accept wrongdoing. All right? If Anthony Joshua just walks around just punching everybody, or, just gives everybody a punch in the balls every time he sees you, or every time he boxes, is that because, oh, he's a proper boxer, he is? He's a real boxer. That's what you're going to expect from Anthony Joshua. No, that's not how it works, is it? What about footballers? Oh, they like kicking stuff. Oh yeah, he just kicks you because he's a real footballer. He is. He just kicks stuff all the time. He just kicks you. He's a real footballer. No, that's not how it goes. You've got rules to your sport, and you've got to abide by them. Oh, but he's a racer. He's a racer. He won't do that. He'll just do whatever he wants to do. Well, no, that doesn't make you a racer, does it? No, that racing series is called stock car racing. Okay, that's where you're allowed to race in that manner, where you can purposefully bash the other cars. Okay, there's a fairground ride called Dodgeums. Max would like that. Okay, Max could be a fairground Dodgem rider. Okay, that's probably more suitable. That would probably suit his skill sets a lot better than the sport of Formula One, where craft and finesse is required. Okay, not this notion of being a real racer, like a real man with a chest wig. Anyway, next clip. Remember in one of the other videos, there was a clip where they were saying, where they're talking about Lando Norris giving the place back to Oscar Piastri, where McLaren had advantaged Norris under their pit strategy. And they said, wow, would Hamilton, would Verstappen, would Alonso, the three greats, give the place back in this scenario? You know, making out as, oh, would these, you know, these real racers, would they actually display sporting conduct, especially within the context of teamwork?
Lose ground in the championship for the first time this season. He's currently in 5th place. But is Lando Norris taking home 25 points or 18 points? Remember when Lewis Hamilton let Valtteri Bottas through here in
Yeah, we do.
Budapest on the very last corner? Might that be something Lando Norris is thinking about after he's proved his point and then done what the team have requested him to do?
After he's proved his point, what point were you proving, Lando? What point were you proving, Lando? What, that your strategy meant that you got ahead of your teammate via an undercut, and then once you're ahead, you're then going, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, how fast am I? He can't catch me. Well done. All right, but he was beating you because he overtook you from the start. He got a better start, and you didn't overtake him validly, did you? So what point are you proving? You'd have proved the point if you'd have done the sensible thing, given the place back, and then tried to race him properly. But instead, you were childish. And what you did, you then took the shine off that lad's first ever Grand Prix victory. Okay, because there'd always be that notion of, oh, well, Lando gave him that place back to enable him to do that. Well, no. He validly deserved that on the grounds of he was leading that race and it was only strategy that impacted that. And you doing what you did took some of the shine away from that, and that was rough. You shouldn't be doing that. Just another aside to that. One of the points I did make, and I don't know whether a video recorded this, but it's one that we probably don't think about, is that had there have been a late safety car situation or virtual safety car, then you can't change positions. So if you're going to switch back places in this regard, you have to do it pretty quickly. Otherwise, an incident can happen where you can't do it. So then what? Then go, oh, well, I was going to. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Well, yeah, it's because you were a dick for that length of time. Rather than be a dick, just do the right thing in the first place, right? And don't have to be told to do it. Be adult enough, take responsibility for your actions, and just do it. Rather than go, oh, I'm going to show him that I'm faster. Well, do that on the track. Let him by you. Drop back to the previously the previous positions in terms of the time gap between you, and then show that you're going to do it. Do it the right way. Because otherwise, you know, it could have ended completely differently. If something would have happened, there'd have been an incident, and it'd been like safety car. We can't get this cleared up in time. It's going to be a safety car finish, you know, just like Abu Dhabi was 2021. Oh, that wasn't. Then what? Then what? Then what? Do we pit Oscar for some fresh softs and just separate out Lando and Oscar to see who's going to win for a one lap shootout? Or you know, would every single team would have protested that to say, hang on a minute, you can't just let them race off to see who's going to win this race. We're all racing in this race too. We want to have a go. Anyway, next clip. Okay, this bit's just Crofty talking about Max Verstappen, but he talks about the person that we all know and have observed. So just listen to this first.
Sainz, now the challenger to Max Verstappen, who has just driven and sounded irritable and annoyed and furious and just irked throughout this entire race, ever since he was asked to give the place back to Lando Norris from the start.
Well, nothing new there. Nothing new there, because This lad, he's only singing when he's winning. Okay? If he's not winning, then he's moaning. And he's moaning at his team. And I don't know if anybody heard the audio after qualifying yesterday. He's all gushing, and it's clearly a media ploy. Oh, Max, make sure you get on the radio and congratulate your team and congratulate them for how well they've done, and make out to the whole world that we're all a team and we all love each other here, Max. Yeah, right. We know what you like. We see it time and time again. Time and time again. You're a spoilt little brat child. And what was rather strange, and we'll go through this, I'm trying to do a video in the week. Abu Dhabi 2021. It wasn't going Max's way. Max wasn't on course to win that. And you want to compare and contrast how Max is on the radio when he's not on course to win and it's not going his way with what we heard in Abu Dhabi 2021. And most of you won't have heard it. But again, congruency. Is what we heard on Max Verstappen's radio in Abu Dhabi 2021 congruent with how we observe Max Verstappen when things aren't going his way at every other Grand Prix? Well, you'll find out in that video. Next clip. I've already said this, but very short clip.
Look at the Verstappen-Hamilton incident and Verstappen for causing a collision after this race.
This notion of, oh, it involves Verstappen, we'll look at that after the race. So many incidents are just looked at there and then by the stewards and they determine the penalty. But like I say, with Verstappen and Red Bull, we'll have a chat after the race. We'll make up a nice story about it, and then we'll decide that no further action is required. And again, I will do a video of that. We'll go through the FIA stewards' reports and we'll go through what is typical, and then we'll go through what happens when Max Verstappen is guilty of an infringement. Next video. Okay, this one is the podium interviews, or the end of race interviews, conducted by Nico Rosberg. Now, I'm not a fan of this lad. Listen to this.
Wow, this is really Formula One at its best at the moment. It's unbelievably exciting out there to watch from outside.
It's not really Formula One at its best, so stop lying to everybody. We know it's just a hype job of a show.
Lewis, P3 today. You beat the Red Bulls fair and square as well.
Oh, you beat the Red Bulls fair and square.
Good feeling?
Yeah. Big thanks to this amazing crowd this weekend.
Are the Red Bulls beating everybody else fair and square? Do we know whether that Red Bull car is legal? Are we likely to be told whether it's legal or not? Whether or not it's running illegal designs, illegal components? We will never know. All we do know is you look at 2022 and 2023 and how far ahead they were, and then the start of this season, how far ahead they were, and now they're struggling and Perez is struggling. What's going on now? That doesn't make sense. You know, it very much seems that even that 2023 car could be used the whole of this season and still be beating everybody. So what's going on? Just doesn't make sense.
And a huge congratulations to McLaren on the 1-2. That's my old original family, so I'm really, really happy to see you, all the boys, all the whole team back up front. And then for us today, yeah, the team has done a great job to continue on with pushing this car. Ultimately, we didn't have the pace of the McLarens, or did we have the pace of the Red Bulls, but we just were able to hold on at the beginning of the race. It was very, very tough to hold on, make those tires last. And obviously the close battle we had at the end was a bit hair-raising, but that's motor racing. So I'm really happy, I'm grateful for the points. Big thank you to the team.
Take us through that battle a little bit with Max. I mean, it was just unbelievable to watch from the outside. How nerve-wracking was it from inside the car?
It's not nerve-wracking. I think when you see the pace at which they close the gap in certain corners, you just laugh to yourself because it's not something I can do. particularly the last sector, they were very, very strong, same as the McLarens.
Yeah, and we do see that. We do see that Red Bull car being visibly quicker than other cars, which makes you wonder, how can it do that? And that's just not a driver, because there's several drivers on that grid that are equally capable. You put the right machinery in their hands, and they're capable of doing that. So it's not just the fact, oh, it's just Max Verstappen that can do this. It's not. It's not. It's that machine. Okay? So this is again what we are watching. It's part of the dynamics of the sport.
So, I mean, I saw him coming from a long way back, and he was able to brake a lot later than me, but he sent it up the inside.
Lewis, he wasn't able to brake a lot later than you because he was out of control. So that meant he wasn't able to brake a lot later than you because he clearly couldn't accomplish it. If you lock up under braking, well, you've not got it right, have you?
I stayed still, and he clipped the wheel, went over. So I think a racing incident, but you know, yeah.
Far too generous. Okay, far too generous. Whether you're just giving them rope so that they end up hanging themselves, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, somebody needs to be calling these out. The trouble is, those that do call them out will get vilified for it. They're the ones that then get the hate. So, probably Lewis is just trying to avoid that. But ultimately, people start needing to be real. Just tell the truth. Okay, stop validating things that are wrong. Because the sooner this world starts being a more truthful place, where liars aren't enabled, where things that are wrong are called out, challenged, and there is a consequence for them, then it'll be a better society. Because if we all live within the certain parameters of what's acceptable and what isn't, there's going to be less cause for, there'll be less problems because everybody will have more respect for each other. It's when you get individuals that don't have respect for each other, don't have respect for the rules. They just want what they want because they're selfish. And, these are the rules of sport, the rules of life. Treat others how you would expect to be treated yourself. And if you don't want to be on the receiving end of that, well, don't do it to anybody else. And if more people conducted themselves in that manner, we would be a better society. But no, that doesn't happen. What happens is you get people that just don't give a shit about anybody else. They will trample all over you to elevate their position. And then once they're there, they will then start lying to the world and gaslighting the situation to make out that, oh, yeah, that's not how it is. That everything else is a lie. No, you're the liar. They're the liar. Everything else is the problem, not them. And they create the wealth to be able to have the platform to convince everybody of that. Now, what a toxic situation that is, which is what we now find ourselves in. The media cannot tell the truth. All they can do is feed lies. And quite a number of us are getting sick and tired of it. Absolutely sick and tired of listening to bullshit. Anyway, next clip. In fact, is there any more that Lewis is going to say?
Let's have a word for Oscar, who just had his first win on a Sunday in his career. You have more than 100, many more, so let's have a word for Oscar.
Yeah, amazing. Congratulations to Oscar. He's been doing a fantastic job ever since he got here, to be honest, but he's been so consistent, and it was only a matter of time before he got a win. So this is a great day for him. He had amazing pace from the get-go, so really, really happy for him and his family.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Let's hope for more progress from you guys in the next couple of races.
Okay, that'll do on that one. I think the other two interviews with the other drivers, so we don't need to listen to that on this video. Here we go. These lads with the encyclopedic knowledge of the sport of Formula One.
Last time we had as many winners in a season as we've had this year was 2012. Oscar Piastri, the 7th different Grand Prix winner in this 2024 season.
What else happened in 2012, Crofty? That would be the reintroduction of the safety car regulations for unlapping lapped cars. So wasn't it the Australian Grand Prix, you know, Oscar's homeland, where that was the first race of that season, where you actually said that in commentary? Yeah, there'd be evidence of that, Crofty. Let's go and play that Grand Prix back, where you actually say that. But 199 Grand Prix later, in Abu Dhabi 2021, you'd forgotten. You didn't know what the regulations were. You thought that, oh, they don't have to do that on wet days in Belgium. Yeah. Well, that's a lie anyway. But it wasn't a wet day, and it wasn't Belgium. It was Abu Dhabi 2021. The fraud that you were paid to lie to the world about, to condition the minds. And you're going to be exposed as well, Crofty, to a global audience. Anyway, I think I'm going to just try and play just some of the Paddock interviews now, because it's a flat denial of Verstappen and the look that he gives. You need really to see how Verstappen pretty much stares at the interviewer with such a cold, calculated expression where he just denies wrongdoing. The guy is just... There's something wrong there. There's definitely something wrong. Okay, this is Strap-On's Paddock interview, so let's have a listen to some of this.
We had quite decent pace on that hard compound, but basically we couldn't use it because I just got stuck. Then again they leave me out.
Again they leave me out, team's fault.
Where I basically immediately got into traffic with back markers, and on a day where the car is already not the quickest, you know, you need to try and capitalize on undercuts.
So on a day where the car's not the quickest, so when you've not got a fast car, you then struggle. Oh, strange that. I thought Max Verstappen was the greatest we'd ever seen, and that Supermax can beat everyone from anywhere.
Where on a track like this, where it's very hot right now, hot for the tires as well, as soon as you get behind cars, they overheat within 2 laps. You can't rely on a little pace advantage. Maybe last year, yeah, with the car, you know, being quite a lot faster.
Being a rocket ship, yeah, you could just blitz past everybody. And it was at the start of the season. What's changed? What's changed? Or now in Spa, it seems to be quite quick again. And Perez seems to have rediscovered the pace in that Red Bull. What's going on there?
Than everyone else, but I think in the position that we are in now, we can't do that anymore. And I think that's why today was a tough race for us. And naturally, of course, that frustrates me because I want things to be done better. Because
it frustrates you because you just want to be winning all the time.
Of course, I'm realistic. Today we couldn't have beaten the McLarens, but a P3 I think was on the cards if we would have just would have been on it a bit more. Yeah.
I know you've got to go and see the stewards. Did any of the frustrations spill over into that contact with Lewis?
I don't think so. I mean, I went for a move that was fully on.
See, this is a problem. If you believe that move was fully on, then clearly you've got a problem with your judgment. And therefore, we need to assess whether you should have a super license. If you can't judge whether a move like that is on, when you're in a motorsport where the speeds reach up to 220 miles an hour, then really you don't have the skills to be part of that sport. You're a danger to that sport.
But then in the middle of the braking zone, when I'm already committed, of course, to the move, he suddenly just keeps warping right.
You weren't in the middle of the braking zone. The braking zone is before the turn into the corner. Okay, you have to get the car speed down so you can then turn the wheels of that car and it goes around a corner rather than carries on in a straight line because you haven't got the speed down enough, and then front tyres don't grip and the momentum of your car, the inertia of that car, carries you straight on in a straight line. Okay, so you do your braking and then you do your turning. Lewis Hamilton was in the turning zone You were still braking as you were going into that turning zone, locking the wheels of your car, carrying on in a straight line. That wasn't the braking zone, Max Verstappen. You need to go back to driving school to learn how to drive properly.
And if I wouldn't have turned while braking straight, I would have made contact with him. So I won't.
If I hadn't have turned while I was braking straight, so okay, when you're going so fast and you're trying to brake and you turn the wheels, what do you think's happening? Oh, there's a much greater chance of locking up and skidding straight on, rather than that car doing what your input is, which is turning that steering wheel to take a right-hand bend, and that car not turning right, it just arrowing straight on because you've locked the wheels and the car just carries straight on. Funny that, but you're a 3-time world champion apparently, Max, but you don't seem to understand that notion.
Well, yeah, naturally I lock up because he just keeps on turning.
Naturally you lock up, yeah, but the move was on, but naturally you were going to lock up.
To the right. People always made a lot about what happened in Austria, what was not correct, blah blah blah. But that's on.
Blah blah blah. Yeah, dismiss it when you've been criticised for doing something wrong, Max. Blah blah blah.
The initial move, and then you just brake straight. You hold your wheel quite straight, and I felt like now it was not on the initial move, but afterwards during the braking zone, he keeps turning right. You cannot do that when someone is committed.
So once again, after the race, Lewis Hamilton refers to it as a racing incident. Lewis Hamilton takes responsibility for his own self, and he takes responsibility for Max Verstappen by saying, okay, I need to accept that we are engaged in motor racing. Motor racing drivers may try and do that. We'll call it an incident. Max Verstappen won't take responsibility for himself. Max Verstappen has to shift the blame onto somebody else. It's never his fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And we encounter lots of people in life that are like this. It's never their fault. They can't take accountability of their actions. It's always somebody else's fault. That's who Max Verstappen is.
To the inside. That's why I locked up, because otherwise we would have collided anyway, because he would have just turned in on me. So
see what he's doing. Oh, it was Lewis that turned in on me and we'd have collided anyway. You're the car that's behind. You're the car that has got to make a valid overtaking manoeuvre in accordance with the rules of engagement of motorsport. You didn't do that. Whose fault is it?
We'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, of course, if we would have done a better strategy, you're not in that position. I don't think that was...
So it's the team's fault now as well?
Wrong. I went for a move that was fully on.
Wasn't on. Again, judgment call. You're not good at making the judgments.
I think I braked too late, but yeah, we got together. We'll have a look at the stewards, is what it is.
I know you debrief anyway, but will you need to debrief and perhaps apologise to the team? Do you feel you have anything to apologise for, just from some of the radio we heard today?
Now that is the bit there. If you get a chance to see that part of the interview, do you think you need to apologise for the team? And Max stares her down and says, why is that? Now that is a sign of the type of individual he is. Okay, I wish I could show you the expression on his face when he answers that question.
Look at the stewards, is what it is.
I know you debrief anyway, but will you need to debrief and perhaps apologise to the team? Do you feel you have anything to apologise for, just from some of the radio we heard today? We heard GP saying, you know, let's not have these arguments over the radio, these discussions over the radio and things. We had some different messages, I guess, between you and the team today, or different atmosphere perhaps.
I don't think we need to apologise, we just need to do a better job. I don't know why people think that you cannot be vocal on a radio. I mean, this is a sport, you know, and yeah.
I don't think we need to apologise. No, Lewis will be the one that apologises. Lewis will say sorry for that collision. Unbelievable, Jeff. I just cut that clip off a little bit too short, so let's just finish it off from Max.
This is a sport, you know, and yeah, if some people don't like that, then stay home.
So it's either Max's way or stay at home. Thanks for that, Max. Entitled Prick. Anyway, we'll carry on with the next clip.
It's a change from the Red Bull dominance, isn't it? But I'm assuming here that maybe Max hasn't seen it yet on the TV. Otherwise, someone needs to tell him that there was actually a corner, which is why Lewis was turning in. Yeah. I mean, Lewis was taking the corner. I'm pretty sure that he's going to get a penalty on that 5 or 10 seconds. And
Don't be sure, Nico. You can never tell when it's the FIA stewards making a decision about. Well, you can tell. You can tell pretty much universally. It's no further action required.
Drop behind Sainz. Naomi, you agree 100%?
Yeah, no, I'm actually just thinking about what Max said there about staying home. I think that's quite... I don't know if he's referring to the team members who don't like that or the fans, but I find that quite a disrespectful message. I mean, he's got to remember that there's no I in team, and whilst he is their top driver and they always put him forwards, he's got to remember that there's loads of people working behind him to put these results together, and on a day like today, sometimes you need to keep the team on your side, and if you talk to people like that and say things like that, you get them offside. And I'm pretty sure we know that GP's been getting a lot of incoming from Max in the past, and they've always said that that's the relationship they have, and it's fine. But there might be other people who are on that radio who are also listening, who are part of this team, who don't like being spoken to like that. So I don't think it's cool. I mean, I know as a driver, when you've got your helmet on, it's a heated environment. Football players don't have microphones on their shirts, and I'm sure if we would hear them and every one of their thoughts, we'd hear a lot of colourful words. But in this sport, you do have a radio mic that's going out to the whole world, all your fans, including kids.
Yeah, and that's the example you're setting. You're setting the example of an entitled little shit that can't behave himself, that thinks the whole world revolves around him. Can't take responsibility for their failings, can't take responsibility for their own actions. Everything is everybody else's fault, and you're entitled to do whatever you want. And they're the kind of values that you are promoting. They're the kind of values that you're setting as an example to the little shits in society these days. The strap-on fanboy. They want to be like that prick.
I suppose when your race engineer calls it childish, maybe you do have a little debate afterwards about what might happen. I wonder what it takes.
But again, you've twisted that around, Lazenby, where his race engineer was actually saying it's childish to be debating with the other teams whether or not Max was in the wrong or not. His race engineer was actually saying, oh, we as Red Bull, we're going to take the high ground here and not get into these childish debates on the radio. So, yeah, this is the gaslighting nature of those narcissistic pricks at Red Bull. But it runs through the team. Okay, we've got Christian Horner.
The lunge down and being flipped up with Lewis, how did you see that one? He was never going to make the corner, was he, Max, really?
Yeah, I would say a racing incident, to be honest with you.
Yeah, of course you would, Christian. Of course you would. Just like you said, it was a racing incident at Silverstone. Where, Lewis put him into the wall at 51G, I hope he's happy with himself. Because Max ended up in hospital today. And he knows, as an 8-time world champion, that he knows what he's doing. That's what you told us at Silverstone, Christian.
I mean, I'd be disappointed if anything were to come of that.
Yeah, you'd be disappointed if Max got punished. But you really tried to turn the entire world against Lewis at Silverstone 2021. And you did. You incited the racial hatred there, didn't you, Christian? You knew what you were doing. You filthy human being.
Okay, how are you going to be in the debrief? I was quite fruity on the radio with GP, wasn't it? But I know they're just like brothers. But yeah, is Max going to need a bit of calming down?
Well, look, unfortunately, frustration of a driver plays out over the radio. I think you probably heard that. I didn't hear McLaren's radio, but I guess there was a fair amount more going on that one. But
oh yeah. Look over there, everybody. Look at the other team. See, they have equal problems. Not really. Out of the 20 drivers on the F1 grid, which of them display the same level of petulance on the radio to their team as Max Verstappen? I don't hear it. Okay? Occasionally, you get a driver complaining to his team about whatever problem it might be. The car, the team strategy, whatever. Do you hear it in quite the same manner as you do when you hear it from Max Verstappen? No, is the answer.
It's congratulations to Oscar Piastri today. He deserved the win.
Yes, nobody mentioned Multi 21 today. That was what was going on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lando was giving it a go. Lando was trying to show that he was like Seb. He was not going to give.
It's an awkward position. I didn't understand why they didn't give Oscar the first pit stop. So they put themselves into that position, but obviously it was something that they discussed pre-race, and Lando did what was asked of him.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Thanks very much. See you next time.
See you next time. See what you did there, Ted. See what you did. And exactly, he is one of those. And we get the SkyPad analysis of the crash. Let's have a look. Listen to this.
Back to the incident, actually. Go to the SkyPad. Ant is there to give us his take on it.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Really interesting to hear that interview from Max Verstappen.
Anthony Davidson, former driver, now Sky pundit, expert and everything.
And we're going to go straight into the onboard here. Now, yes, I was on Max's case in Austria about the moving under the braking and then ultimately the cause of collision, moving to the left-hand side after moving right. You all know the story, into turn 3 and causing the collision. So, two things we've got to look out.
Two things, because you were on Max's case then, you've probably been told off, probably been told you're not allowed to criticise Max Verstappen, and now you have to pay your penance in the same way that Ted Kravitz has had to and Johnny Herbert has had to.
Why the lockup happened and who was at fault for the collision. That's what the stewards, I'm sure, will be looking at. So as you head down the straight, he's behind Lewis and they both overtake the Williams. Lewis ducks back towards the racing line, which you would expect. And then I think Lewis takes a slightly shallow approach to the corner.
Yeah? Are you allowed to do that? Yeah. If you're in the lead, you can take whatever line around there you want, providing that the other car hasn't earned racing room around there. Well, how do you earn racing room around there? Well, as long as you reach a point where you're at least halfway alongside by the time you reach the braking zone, then you've earned racing room. But if you're behind that point, you have to yield. You have to back out of that situation because you're not in a position to challenge. That lead car can take the line that it chooses around that corner. It doesn't have to leave you racing room. It's down to you as the car behind to plot your line around there and don't run into him.
I do think there's a slightly early turn in which catches Max out slightly. He
catches him out slightly. Well, no, if you get caught out, you're not good enough.
Going for the gap here, thinking it's going to be straight, and Lewis goes in. At some point, you have to turn into the corner.
It's funny that, isn't it? At some point, when you've got a corner, you've got to turn to make it around that corner.
That's this grey area that all these drivers play around with.
That's not a grey area.
Max was doing it in Austria. Lewis is doing it here. You're making it uncomfortable for the driver trying to overtake you. And now you've pushed them. They're going onto the marbles. It's very hard to slow down at this point.
The marbles? It's very hard to slow down at this point? What are you talking about? The guy's just sent it up the inside. He shouldn't be sending it so late.
What happens after this, though? Because sure, you've still got loads of room. There's plenty, way more than the car's width to your right-hand side. So you can still go down the inside, but you're carrying such speed now.
So you can go down the inside. Did this happen? Did Karun tell us this at Silverstone? You know, where Lewis was on the inside and Max chopped right across his nose. Did Lewis chop across Max's nose at Hungary turn 1? At the point in time where the collision occurred, was there more than a car's width between Lewis Hamilton and that right-hand edge of the track? Answer, yes. So, who's caused the collision then? Could Max have given Lewis more room? Or did Lewis Like, did Lewis needed to give Max more room when he was on the inside at Silverstone, but when Lewis was on the outside at Hungary, once again it was Lewis that needed to give Max more room again. Everybody always needs to give Max more room, whether Max is on the inside or the outside. Everybody give Max more room, because this is how Max races. He's a real racer. He's a real racer. So you need to give him more room. No. Just stick him in the Dodgem, okay? Get him to hand his little ticket to the waltzer spinner, okay? And let him have a go. Let him have a go. He'll have a lovely time.
Now that you're going to probably lock up. And that's exactly what happens. And it's not just one lock up, it's both front wheels that lock up. That makes the car go straight. And because the car goes straight, that's the cause of collision. And we've got a much better
It's Max that's the cause of collision.
Shot of it. I think we might have already seen this overhead shot. This one tells, I think, a better story. So Lewis goes to turn in, but then when it locks up for Max, it's almost as if the car goes left. It doesn't. It's an optical illusion. It's when you get a double front lockup, you have no steering, lo and behold. So
what's happened there? You've carried so much extra speed, and the car doesn't slow down in time. You've locked the brake in. Oh, so you're completely at fault. Completely at fault. You're out of control because you've not kept your car under control to make it around that circuit correctly. And you've hit another car in the process because of that. Penalty! But instead the FIA give us a lovely story.
That's what ultimately caught Lewis out. That's why he didn't turn out the corner, because you're not expecting the car on the inside to suddenly just go absolutely dead straight like it did there. And when you...
Well, not unless you're used to racing against Max Verstappen.
You see the amount of lockup and how far the car was about to go wide. You have to say the main cause of collision, it was a racing incident, I think, but the main cause of collision was because of Max, but he was a little bit compromised going into the corner. So it'd be really interesting to see what the stewards think of this one.
So if you're a bit compromised going into a corner, what do? You take it easy, you back out a little bit. He was a bit compromised going into the corner, but you know what? Fuck it! Let's just give it the full send anyway! Wow! No, because you cause a crash that you're responsible for. And you've got to hold your hand up and say, you know what? I got it wrong. But that guy and his team are incapable of doing that. People need to start taking responsibility for their actions, for their conduct in life.